How goes it all? Welcome back to Patterson Properties. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. If you don't know who I am basically your neighborhood wholesaler slash real estate investor. I mainly wholesale within the DMV area, Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, Maryland area. And I buy real estate property anywhere where I deem affordable when it comes to buying investment properties. But anyways, hopefully you guys are being nice and safe during the good old Corona lockdown, because the U.S. and the rest of the world is basically locked down at this moment. And just hopefully you guys are being safe with your loved ones, your friends, and everybody who you come in contact with. So do your best to take care of yourself during these unfortunate times. Anyways, however, today's subject matter I'm going to be talking about is actually interesting. I'm surprised I haven't talked about this thus far. Good old Airbnb. You know, most people know about Airbnb nowadays, but if you don't, I will go over what Airbnb is, who they are as a company, and their mission and all that good stuff. Airbnb Incorporated is an online marketplace for arranging or offering lodging, primarily homestays or tourism experiences. I've utilized them on multiple bases and I've always been happy. The company does not own any of the real estate listings, nor does it host events. It acts as a broker, receiving commissions from each booking. This is the genius, and that is how the company saves so much money, because they do not have to worry about paying for the things that comes with real estate, like property taxes, insurance, and maintenance issues, or tenants like all landlords have to deal with. I have personally been utilizing Airbnb when I go out of town because, depending on the city, it's cheaper and more convenient. Also, it is better because when I go, I like to feel like that's the main thing. I don't think the best experience about Airbnb is actually when I go someplace, go to an area that I've never been to before, or a place I actually love going to. I actually like to feel like I'm living in that area. I don't just want to feel like a visitor. I mean, that's what's made me fall in love with places like Los Angeles and Riverside County, because I've been there, but I haven't been there as a tourist. I've been there as a person. When you're staying in somebody's house, and you're staying in these different neighborhoods, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you really get a feel of the place and whatnot. So that's why I said I utilize the service all the time. I buy their stocks. Why not talk about them, right? So, but that's the beauty of Airbnb, in my personal opinion. And in the future, I wouldn't mind having my own Airbnb business myself. Get into the game. One of my properties, and I already know where I'm going to do it. Preferably in Los Angeles, because it's a hot spot. Well, not now because of the coronavirus, but when this situation gets squared away, it's going to continuously be a hot spot because of all the activity that's going on there. And if you're in a major city, you should think about it. Or if you're in an area that gets a lot of visitors, you should think about it. If you're in an area with a lot of tourism and things of that nature, think about it. So I figured that I would go over a few ways that successful real estate investors have profited from becoming Airbnb hosts. Number one is definitely obvious. Run the numbers to see if the short-term Airbnb rentals are for you. One investor stated that, and I quote, one should give their property a test run. When one investor brought what they learned in Vancouver back to Atlanta, Georgia, and this was Vancouver, Canada, not in Washington State, Vancouver to Canada to Atlanta, Georgia, where most of their real estate investment takes place. On Airbnb, they averaged about 70% occupancy rate and ranked in between $200 to $400 per night, which isn't bad, depending on the property. They paid down the mortgages and began scaling the businesses. That is just one aspect of, but many ways to have an effective strategy. Okay, and number two, remember that you are now in the vacation rental business. So think of your house like a hotel. Hey, like you're a hotel owner / manager. It actually kind of makes sense. It's just another hotel version, except you're just doing it in a personal property, whether it's an apartment, it's a trailer, some people even do RVs. You know what I mean? Some people rent out a couch. That's where Airbnb is at. People just rent out a part of their house, not even just the whole part of their house. So there's so many aspects of it. But hotels win occupancy through privacy. Because people want to feel some sense of privacy, and they want to feel like they're at home when they go. I feel the same way, obviously. And fulfilling guests' expectations when it comes to amenities that reflect the comforts of home. And that, like I said earlier, That's the main reason why I use Airbnb, because I feel like I get more of the comforts of home staying there compared to staying at a hotel. And a lot of hotels are following suit with making more hotel rooms even look like what you're seeing on the screen right now, because people want to feel like they're at home. They don't want to feel like they're in a hotel room. It just kind of takes the fun out of it when you're traveling. I mean, business travel is one thing, but even then, it's like if you're self-employed like I am, you want to feel like you're at home when you go someplace. If you're working for a company, sometimes it's different, but even then, you want to feel like it's depending on the area. And if you really love a place that you don't live in, but you're going to visit there often, you really want to feel like you're at home. So that's why I can speak about this from a passionate perspective of being a customer and dealing with people who actually have profited from Airbnb. And like I said, myself, I'm looking to do that once I purchase the right property in the right area, that I know it's going to have constant traffic going, back and forth. Like, I'm from the DMV area, obviously a lot of traffic going back and forth. So if you live in the Maryland side of the river, or the Virginia side of the river, or DC, there's always high traffic going on. And if you own a property, you Airbnb in that specific property, you're going to make some serious money. Whenever there's a huge event going on, from sports to inaugurations to whatever, you're going to make money off of that. Los Angeles, hotbed of activity, award shows going on all the time, games going on, stadiums being built, always something going on. Vegas, come on, man, that speaks for itself. Miami, that speaks for itself. Atlanta, that speaks for itself. So you can really profit. And all these other major cities I have not mentioned, but I'm just saying, I'm just giving examples and whatnot. But it's interesting. But that's the main thing. You're in the hotel business in a sense, and you want to make sure people feel at home. Now, I definitely agree with that, because one thing is that remember that relationship / customer service. That's what this business is all about in real estate. Period. The article stated that I couldn't agree with more. Is that one has to consider the needs of your clients before they do. Courtesy, extra toothbrush, soft towels, ironing boards, bath mats, especially that, because you don't want people to slip and fall. Cooking essentials, coffee setup, help guests feel comfortable. The article stated that one should consider safety first aid kit, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, and functioning smoke detectors. Because at the end of the day, and I know most of landlords can attest to this. So if you're a successful landlord, then obviously you could be successful in this. You want to make sure that the place is safe. You don't be a slumlord. And then the thing is, you probably could get away with being a slumlord for a little bit of time with a rental, but you definitely can't get away with that in Airbnb, because if you get a bunch of bad reviews, people are not going to want to utilize your service, and you are essentially a subcontractor to Airbnb, so they can just say, hey, we're terminating the contract with you. We're not going to allow you to rent your place out via our services, because you're giving us a bad. Because at the end of the day, that's another thing you got to remember. You're not just putting your name on the line, you're putting this company's name on the line. Okay, so if you're not going to do good for yourself and the company, then obviously this business isn't for you. And because that's how I approach everything. It's like, I want people to feel safe. I want my tenants to feel safe, period. So when I get my first Airbnb, I'm going to want the people who stay there to feel safe. I don't just want them to give me a good rating. I want them to actually enjoy the experience. Like the best hosts they check up on me to see how I'm doing. It's like, hey, how are you enjoying things? And I told one gentleman, yeah, I'm moving to Los Angeles. I'm moving to Riverside. And he was like, hey, oh, did you find a place? I got some great places that you can check out. You know what I mean? You and your friends, et cetera, and so forth. So that's the kind of thing, constantly be engaged with your guests, because they are your guests, and they definitely are your customer because they're paying you. And if they're paying you in those hotspot areas that I'm talking about, then yeah, it will be $200, $300 to $400 or more per night, depending on the place. Give clear instructions. That's another thing that the article stated. Every Airbnb I've been to, there's always been clear and detailed instructions via the email, via the Airbnb page, and then once you get to the property. Okay, especially when it comes to adjusting AC, definitely when it comes to parking. One wants to worry about getting, doesn't want to have to worry about getting towed, when you're on vacation, because that's definitely, especially if it's a rental car, it's really going to suck. Okay, always get clear instructions via email after your customer confirms a reservation with you. And a lot of times people will even go old school and they'll even call you. I've had that. People will call me a day or two before I even leave town to go to my destination when it comes to Airbnb. And I think that's good. Sometimes it surprises me, but hey, I respect it, and have detailed information posted in a manual when you get in the house on the wall so people cannot say they did not know. Number 3, optimized design to cater to vacationers, which basically falls into the category of giving your customer an experience of the city that they won't forget. I remember in 2017 when I went to Seattle my first time, I met my host, real nice lady, got her name, real nice lady. She gave me great recommendations of local restaurants to go to as I was just getting back from the gym. She's like, oh, you went to the gym in this specific part of town? Well, you should go to this part of Seattle. You get this great. Because I was like, yeah, I wanted to get some real authentic seafood being in Seattle. Because it comes, with them being right there on the ocean or whatnot. And she gave me great. And I took her up on one of I said, okay, I'll try. Because I usually don't listen to people when it comes to restaurants. I was like, you know what? I'll listen to it. I'll give it a shot. It was this mom and pop restaurant. Man, it was some of the best seafood I had. Fish, shrimp. I had codfish and I had shrimp, and it was definitely a delight. So, and that's why I went back to Seattle last year, because not only the city in itself, but the great experience I got staying at an Airbnb and having a local tell me of great places to go to, and they had pamphlets and whatnot and all that good stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So be good, be customer service oriented. Period. Because somebody's paying to stay in your property. And this is, like I said, this is one of the bigger reasons why people like myself like to utilize Airbnb, because unlike the hotel, you get the experience of being a local. Like I said, it's like I said, when I visit a place that I've never been or a place that I have been, I like to feel like I live there. When I went to Phoenix, Arizona back in 2016, I utilized Airbnb. Felt like I lived in Phoenix. I was around the locals. Hey, it's a beautiful thing, And the article suggests that, it was a great suggestion that they made was one should add some art that is reflective of the city. And when it comes to the guests visiting there, I remember when I was in LA, I love LA signs all over the place. Picture of downtown Los Angeles, stuff like that. If your property is in Detroit, consider Detroit hustles hard flag, you know what I mean? Or some local graphic designs for the walls. If you're in Colorado, try decorating with some national park posters. These are all recommendations from senior, great, diamond hosts, because it's different kinds of hosts that have Airbnb. So these are from the top dogs who actually profit and make a great living off of Airbnb. You know what I mean? And obviously they use that money to make more money, so they don't just have to depend on one source of income. But I think these are great. These are great tips. You can look for a map of your city on Etsy and frame it as a centerpiece of the living room or bedroom of your rental, as the article stated. Number 4, in Airbnb, as in everything, lean into your strengths. One Airbnb investor stated, as I was planning to outsource. If repairs may look shabby, if you do them yourself, don't sacrifice the character of your home to save a few $100s. And I think that's when it comes to anything, when it comes to real estate. It's nice to cut corners. If you know a person that does good work, then fine. But if you know a person that does semi-good work and it's going to look like a tornado came through there, but the house is still sitting, you might want to actually get a professional. That old saying, you get what you pay for, really does work. So I'm just going to keep it like that, okay? It really does. Okay, you got to cough up a couple $100s or $1,000 or $2,000, so be it. If you don't want to spend money, then don't be in business. That's my mindset. If your real estate portfolio boosts more than a few properties, don't worry about the nitty gritty. Okay, consider with one person, name is Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule of life, optimization. And that is the saying. Consider with the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule of life, optimization. As a theory, the Pareto principle is a way of looking at economics. In practice, it is an efficiency scheme that instructs you to perform the 20% of work that produces 80% of the results and outsource or eliminates the excess 80% of work. The same rule is practical in the short-term rental market. Number 5, for the people who want to keep the hands-on approach, remember that Automation means saying goodbye to common rental. Okay, and I'm a big fan of automation. I mean, heck, I don't rent properties in the area that I live. I do as much as I can to automate stuff so life can be easier for me. Okay, all I gotta do is make a couple decisions, a couple clicks, a couple emails, a couple phone calls, sometimes be face to face, but for the most part let other people run the business. Okay, remember that Airbnb does more than just provide homeowners with a platform for marketing the rental space. It takes over some of the biggest headaches associated with the long-term rentals. With long-term rentals, if it's a bad fit, you have to go through the eviction process to get them out. Trust me, I know that. I'm sure you guys do too. Short-term rentals take the headaches out of getting rent from your tenants in the traditional way. With vacation rentals, you receive money seamlessly through the platform. Always see what works for you by trial and error. And one thing to say on that, and that's why in a lot of cities, Airbnb is becoming bigger. There's becoming more Airbnb rentals than are actually long-term rentals, because a lot of these major cities are transient cities. You have long-term Airbnbs, but you don't have the same tenant landlord laws don't apply, depending on the city, depending on the state. Like I said, don't quote me. Every city and state is different when it comes to landlord and tenant laws and all that good stuff. But needless to say, a lot of times this gives more power to the landlord to say, okay, if you're screwing my places, I have the right to really kick you out. I don't have to wait 30 days or months or a year to get you out of my property as you continuously try to damage it. So that's why a lot more people love the short-term aspect of being a landlord instead of the long-term aspect of being a landlord. Just something to think about, okay? Just something to think about. Okay, anyways. With vacation rentals, you receive money seamlessly through the platform of Airbnb. Always see what works for you by trial and error, as I stated earlier. And that is the life of an entrepreneur, trial and error, in my personal opinion. Number 6, passive versus active rental oversight. The choice is yours. I'm all about obtaining passive income and not active income, because the more investments I get, the less I want to be involved with them. Some investors believe it is better to lease properties the traditional way because they value passive over active income. And I get it. Everybody's different, and I couldn't respect that more. You know what I mean? I couldn't respect it more. And that's what it is. You got to figure out what niche works for you. To me, the long term works for me, and I'm looking forward to the short term all at the same time. Okay. And with a lot of money being available now with the stimulus package going through, if you are a business owner, or if you're just going to get the individual checks and whatnot, like most people, take advantage of this and see what you can do with that money, and get with people that has this right mindset, just like you, to see what you can do at the same time. Because the biggest problem I see with people is they got the right mindset, but they're around the wrong freaking people. And I've been guilty of this myself, so I'm not casting stones. I don't want to be around people that aren't like-minded, especially when it comes to making investment moves in the real estate industry. Great minds think alike, and great minds need to be around, period. But Airbnb is still on the table, if the goal is passive income, period. Buy a lockbox. That's another suggestion. Obviously, it makes perfect sense. Most rental properties should have those anyways. Buy a lockbox so guests can check in at their convenience. A lot of times you just have the digital keys, digital locks nowadays. Most places are doing that, which I actually think it's better, because they just end up changing the combination after every tenant comes and goes and whatnot. So say if I stay in the place for 3 days, after I leave, they change the combination. They can do it via their app. It's very simple. I remember I had an issue getting into a place in Los Angeles, and I called the owner of the property, and she said, "Oh yeah, no problem. I got to go into my app to change this. I forgot from the previous tenant." I said, "Okay, no problem." 5 seconds later, I was able to get into the property. It's a beautiful thing. Hire a property manager to clean each house or room after the latest guest has checked out. Another thing, it's called 1099 in these people. Okay, so you can get more tax write-offs. This doesn't have to be costly. More often than not, preparing a home for new guests is simple. Last but definitely not least, number 7, market to your dream client. The article stated that whether you lease your home for years, months, or nights at a time, because like I said, a lot of people do the long term instead of just a couple nights at a time. Real estate investment is all about business ownership. Okay. There are diverse demographics out there, each willing to pay vastly different prices for a place to stay. Take practical steps to appeal to higher paying guests and charge the rates that expect for more luxurious experiences. Because once again, you get what you pay for. There will always be a race to the bottom for pricing, but that market and approach might not be for you. Catch the attention of vacationers willing to pay higher prices to stay in your home. These people tend to treat your property more respectfully than those who will try to nickel and dime you over everything. That I can agree with, because if you have, it's just like even in regular conventional rental properties, if you're charging a higher rent, then most likely you're going to have better tenants and whatnot. Not always the case, but most likely. Once again, you get what you pay for. But if you're charging lower rents, some cases, not all, like I said, I don't put people in boxes. Sometimes the clientele or the tenants might not be the best tenants, so you just never know, right? But anyways, to end this video off, as you invest, stay wise, treat others well, and make a killing at every turn. And I always say is that you will make mistakes, just like any new venture in life, but you have to learn from your mistakes and move forward. A lot of people are scared to jump when it comes to any sort of entrepreneurship because they're scared to make a move, okay? Never be scared to make a move. Never be scared to make a mistake. That's what we call growing, okay? It's all about growing, and I'm all about growing, and I hope you all are as well. So take advantage of the opportunities that are coming your way when it comes to the stimulus. Maybe if you're not going to buy an investment property, then hey, you never know. Maybe try to rent out a part of your house, obviously when this coronavirus is over with, and then see if you can make yourself some passive income, turn it into an LLC, S Corp, whatever, and start making some money. There's no reason that if the coronavirus hasn't taught us anything outside of being cleaner, it's taught us that everybody needs to have some sort of a side hustle and a home-based business, because tax write-offs are beautiful, and two, you just never know when your job might disappear. All right, so hopefully you guys liked the video. Please share, subscribe, definitely like, and check out the Karatbars International if you're interested in purchasing gold and referring other people and all that good stuff. And there's thousands of videos out there to look into it. But hey, stay safe, family. That's the main important thing at the end of the day. Please stay safe. Take care.